taking on the Pistons. 8 seed, 1 seed. Fourth quarter, Orlando up 6, and it's Franz Wagner driving and slamming it home over Asar Thompson. Ooh, that's nasty. Well, then just over 2 minutes to go. This time, Wagner lobbing this one up to Jalen Suggs, who lays it in. Magic, they steal this one on the road, 112-101. We're back, joined by CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez after a wire-to-wire victory from the, check the notes, 8-seeded Orlando Magic over the top-seeded Detroit Pistons. And I think one of the biggest storylines of this game is you got Cade Cunningham, who's giving you a playoff career-high 39 points, but Orlando still running away with this one. How concerning is it, if you're Detroit, that this can be just a one-man offense and you're relying so much on Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, this has been the knock against the Pistons all season long, Kiana, that they are over-reliant on Cade Cunningham. Now, when he went out with that collapsed lung, the Pistons still were chugging along and won what? They won 9-3 without him, and it looked like, okay, they could maybe withstand this. But tonight was a great example of all the concerns that you would have with the Pistons, where Cade Cunningham goes for 39 points. Only one other player on the Pistons scored in double figures. That was Tobias Harris, who scored 17, and it wasn't a very efficient shooting night from Tobias Harris. Everybody else in single digits, and the bench was basically useless. Dennis Jenkins, who's had a really good season, he was the high man off the bench with 6 points. You contrast that with the Magic, who had all 5 of their starters in double figures, and Jalen Suggs, a guy who fouled out, he was everywhere tonight. He was awesome. Franz Wagner, he hasn't looked like himself until tonight when he threw down a dunk, had 19 and 5. He started to look good. Paolo Banchero, I've killed him, crushed him all season long. He's had 2 good games in a row. And then I think the concerning thing, especially if you're the Pistons, you lose this game at home. That's 11 straight home playoff losses in Detroit on a night when Desmond Bane had an awful, brutal shooting night, and the Magic still won this one comfortably. That would give me a little pause.
Yeah, Desmond Bane going 7 of 20 from the field, 1 of 8 from three-point land. But, John, I want to get your take on this one, and it's not that I'm trying to give any type of excuse, but I'm just trying to make sense of what we just saw. I want to get your thoughts on, the whole ideology of the rest versus rust. You consider that the Magic came in playing 2 play-in games. They surprised many also including you and I, and we talked about this, and they got that win in the play-in against the Hornets, and now riding a bit of that momentum maybe into game 1 to steal one on the road against the best record in the East?
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about this right before we came on air. It's kind of wild to watch the Orlando Magic, this version of them, which is the version that we all thought that we would get all season long, but we didn't get until the play-in against the Hornets when it was last chance.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are talking about the biggest upset of the first round so far. The 8-seeded Orlando Magic went into Detroit and stole Game 1 from the top-seeded Pistons, winning 112-101. Cade Cunningham scored a playoff career-high 39 points. And it did not matter. The analysts are asking a tough question. Is Cade Cunningham overrated? Or is he just carrying a team that cannot help him? Let me break it down. The game was close until the fourth quarter. Franz Wagner was driving and slamming it home. Jalen Suggs was everywhere. The Magic had all 5 starters in double figures. Franz Wagner had 19 and 5. Paolo Banchero, who has been uneven all season, had his second good game in a row. Jalen Suggs fouled out but was awesome. And Desmond Bane had an awful shooting night. 7 for 20 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3. And the Magic still won comfortably. That is concerning for Detroit. The analyst, John Gonzalez, pointed out that this has been a knock against the Pistons all season long. They are over-reliant on Cade Cunningham. Now, when Cunningham went out with a collapsed lung, the Pistons still won 9-3 without him. It looked like they could maybe withstand this. But tonight was a great example of all the concerns you would have with the Pistons. Cade Cunningham goes for 39 points. Only one other player on the Pistons scored in double figures. That was Tobias Harris, who scored 17, and it was not a very efficient shooting night from him. Everybody else was in single digits. The bench was basically useless. Dennis Jenkins, who has had a really good season, was the high man off the bench with 6 points. Contrast that with the Magic, who had all 5 starters in double figures. Gonzalez also pointed out that the Pistons lost this game at home. That is 11 straight home playoff losses in Detroit, on a night when Desmond Bane had an awful, brutal shooting night, the Magic still won this one comfortably. That would give him a little pause. The host then asked about the rest versus rust debate. The Magic came in playing 2 play-in games. They surprised many, including the host and Gonzalez, by getting that win against the Hornets. Now they are riding a bit of that momentum into Game 1 to steal one on the road against the best record in the East. Gonzalez said it is kind of wild to watch the Orlando Magic, this version of them, which is the version that we all thought that we would get all season long, but we did not get until the play-in against the Hornets when it was last chance saloon, win or go home. He said, I guess you cannot rush these things. They waited till the very last play-in game to actually try this season. But this is the version of the Magic that people wanted to see. Paolo Banchero, who has been super uneven all season long, has had 2 really good games in a row. He does not like the fit between Banchero and Wagner overall, but they looked really good in this game. He contrasted that with the Pistons. These 2 teams are very similar. The Pistons do all the things that the Magic do well, ostensibly better, except for in this game. The Pistons were number 1 in the NBA this season in points in the paint. Well, who won the points in the paint battle? The Magic, considerably. Their half-court defense was excellent not only in that Hornets game but tonight against the Pistons. And one of the guys that the Pistons need to call out here is Jalen Duren. He was next to invisible tonight. He goes for 8 points and 7 rebounds, just 3 of 4. He only took 4 shots. This is a guy who could potentially make All-NBA and is a finalist for Most Improved Player. Well, not tonight he was not. And Cade Cunningham really needs his 1A player, and he did not get him tonight. The host then asked a hypothetical question. If the Magic can win some games, rattle off maybe a couple more upsets, does that change the way we are looking at what the Magic might be doing this offseason? Gonzalez said maybe. What it would have to be more than just a couple games. He had the Pistons winning this series in 5. Maybe that does not come to fruition here, but he still thinks the Pistons are the better team because there is so much overlap. If you were doing a Venn diagram between the Pistons and the Magic, there would be a big part in that middle because they both like to score in the paint. They both have big bodies. They both play really good defense. He still thinks that Cade Cunningham is the better player on either team. But in this hypothetical situation, what happens if the Magic win more than just a couple? What happens if they launch an upset and get out of the first round? Then all of a sudden, is Jamal Mosley sticking around? Everybody, including him, thinks that he is probably a goner and they are going to replace the head coach. He thought that if they are a first-round exit, they would lose in 5 games to the Pistons or 6 games to the Pistons. Then maybe they are thinking about unplugging Paolo Banchero. Maybe you put him in a package, dangle him, see if the Milwaukee Bucks bite. Maybe you could get Giannis. All of that maybe changes if they launch an upset. He did not want to overreact. It is just one game. They will see what happens with the Pistons in Game 2 and whether or not they can look more like themselves. They have been the number 1 seed. He keeps defending them. He would like them to reward him for that positivity. They are the number 1 seed for a reason. They should look like it maybe in the next game. Maybe they will look like it if they start spreading that ball around. More plus starters even getting in double figures, not just relying on 2, especially Cade Cunningham. The host agreed. Winning cures a lot. They will see how everything shakes out. The segment also briefly touched on the Spurs and Trailblazers. The Spurs have returned to their rightful playoff position after 7 years. Victor Wembanyama is dealing with a left rib contusion, but Spurs head coach Mitch Johnson has said Vic is a full go for tonight. The Spurs have known their playoff standing for a few weeks now. The last real meaningful game they played was against the Denver Nuggets at Mile High a couple weeks ago. Victor played 40 minutes in that ball game. Expect a healthy dose of the French-born superstar here tonight. On the other side for Portland, stopping Denny Avdija is going to be the focal point. The first-time All-Star for the Trailblazers, top 15 in the NBA in scoring. In 3 games in the regular season against San Antonio, Avdija averaged over 31 points per game. But in those 3 games, the Spurs were without Victor Wembanyama. So, tonight is going to be Portland's first look at Victor. Expect Stephen Castle to draw the matchup against Avdija defensively. Castle famously has held guys like Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell to below 35% shooting from the floor. He is top 15 in the NBA in defensive rating. So, they will see how Avdija fares spending a night in the Spurs castle. So here is my question to you in the comments. Is Cade Cunningham overrated? Or does he have no help? And can the Magic pull off the upset and beat the Pistons in the series? Let me know. I read every single comment. As always, like, subscribe, hit that bell. We are building something special here. I will see you in the next one.